You are listening to Confessions of a Counselor podcast with Janice, mental health in bite-sized chunks. Hello and welcome to Confessions of a Counselor. I'm your host, Janice, and in today's episode, I thought we would talk about the function of denial, or the function of kind of what we call the freeze response or the submit response when we're talking parts work. So I thought we would kind of address what happens in our bodies and our experience when we're kind of in that denial state. Okay, let's jump right in. So I think denial, or this kind of like freeze response state, often gets a bad rap because we are perhaps ignoring something, or we're not fully aware of something, or maybe we're not processing everything that's happening right in the moment that it's happening. And oftentimes when we talk about therapy, or we talk about growth, or we talk about awareness, we're really focusing on being aware of what's happening, being aware of what's going on in the moment, coming back to the moment and making sure that we're really processing everything that's going on. And I think that that's really important, and there's a function for that. And I don't want to ignore the function of denial, or the function of that kind of freeze state, where maybe we're not absorbing all the information. Maybe we're not processing everything that's happening. And the reason that we're doing that is so that we can move from the sad or traumatic or overwhelming moment into kind of going on with our day, right? So we can't always be in the moment. We can't always be in all of the feelings that we're having, because we need to move forward in our life, because sometimes we just need to get up and take care of the kids, or maybe we just need to get to our job so that we can keep a roof over our head, right? So sometimes we can't stay in those states of big feelings, and we need to keep going. We need to keep processing what's happening. So the function of, let's say, denial is so that my brain isn't absorbing all of the information. I'm not getting overwhelmed by the amount of information that's happening in that moment. So our brains are designed to absorb a lot of information, but not consciously, right? So I am walking into a room and my brain is processing all the things that are happening in that room, but I might not consciously be aware of everything. So it's sorting everything pretty quickly. If I've seen this room before, I'm not going to kind of pay attention. My brain's going to sort this as this is my office. It has a couch. There's a clock. There's a light. There's the door. It's going to process it pretty quickly, because it's something that I've seen before, I've done before. So that our brains are processing information pretty quickly if I've already done this thing. So that's kind of the function of denial. And then we kind of also touch on this kind of freeze state, where perhaps something overwhelming has happened, right? I've got into a big fight with a partner, or maybe a friend is going through a really tough time and I'm worried about them, right? So these are really overwhelming things that I might have lots of feelings about. And the state of denial or freeze might be helping me to kind of process what I need to process, but not right now, right? So, okay, I've had a really big fight with my partner, but I still have to get to work, right? I still have to go to work and do my job, or I have to go and pick up my kids from school. And so I don't have time to process those feelings in the moment. I'm going to go into a little bit of denial, or a little bit of freeze, in order to kind of help me with that. So maybe I'm not going to think about all of the worst case scenarios, a little bit of denial. Or maybe I'm not going to, overthink that fight. So this is where that function of not processing everything, not being in the moment, not really sitting in my feelings, can be really helpful, in that I need to kind of get on with my day. I need to keep going. Um, the caveat there is, yes, that's really important, right? Sometimes we just have to keep going. What we want to do is then give ourselves time and space to process after the fact, right? So perhaps I can't process that big fight right in this moment, but I'm going to make sure that once the kids are in bed, or I have some time off of work, that I'm going to process whatever it is that was overwhelming, or whatever it is that was kind of really difficult about that moment. Okay. So I hope that you found that helpful and kind of gives you an idea of when denial might be uh, really important to be in. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Confessions of a Counselor podcast is available anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts, both on Apple and Android. New episodes are released every Friday. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to join the conversation, leave a review, or subscribe to the podcast hosted on Spotify. You can find all these details on janicelyons.com. Until next time, take care.